Hello and welcome to KHM Today, your weekly go-to resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and it is the day before Earth Day, everyone. And I don't know what you feel like, but I feel like the Earth is playing a mean joke on me with this weather these days. But we're going to get through it. We're almost to spring and summer. It is also National Tea Day. Now, I don't love tea, but I do love everything surrounding tea. I love hats. I love what you wear to tea. I love tea sandwiches, scones, petit fours. I love the royal family, the places that you go for tea. And the best, Matt's going to share with us today the best places to go throughout the world and how to brew a great cup of tea. So he's going to teach me how to enjoy this more than just the food. There is so much to today's show, so please stay tuned till the end because you're going to learn so much. This month we have our show sponsors, Apple Leisure Group, and normally I wouldn't say anything like this, but I don't want you guys to miss out on a fantastic promo for Ryu Hotels. It's savings up to $200 instantly. You save 57%. Kids stay free. There's a spa credit. There's so much more. So be sure to check out the travel agent portal for more information if you're a KHM agent. And this offer does end, I believe it's May 2nd. So make sure you get those clients ready and booked for Ryu Hotels. Let's get a check of the headlines with Chantel Nye from the education team at KHM Travel Group. I have a feeling that she doesn't have her tea hat. And you know what? You guys can't see my screen, can you? There we go. Do you have your tea hat? Do you like tea?
You know what? I do like tea. I really like iced tea. I do like hot tea as well. In honor of today, though, oh, where's my camera? I did bring out my great grandmother's. This is part of her collection. Isn't it beautiful?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I do like tea. I am a coffee drinker, but I also like a little tea with my sugar too. So.
Well, Matt's going to teach us a little something about it today. We're all going to start enjoying this a whole lot more than we do. So what sort of news do you have for us today?
Okay, so let's start with France. This was just announced a couple days ago. France is planning on reopening to vaccinated Americans as soon as this summer. They're progressively lifting nationwide restrictions in early May and are gradually going to allow travelers from other European Union member countries as well as the US, says its President Macron. They are looking into a special pass to store visitors' coronavirus vaccination status or negative PCR coronavirus results to allow them to travel throughout France and the rest of the European Union. So let's just wait and see. This is their plan. They're slowly starting to slim down their what they've been doing for their lockdown. So let's hope it works. Secondly, in honor of Earth Day tomorrow, I'm going to bring you a couple different things here. Fairmont Hotels and Resorts. I did not know this, but it's wonderful to know. They're celebrating their 30th anniversary of being a leader in going green. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
It's absolutely amazing. It is part of Fairmont Sustainability Partnership, now part of Accor's Planet 21 program. And as part of that celebration, they announced that by 2050, they are going to reach net zero carbon emissions. Also, a commitment has been made to eliminate any remaining single-use plastics in guest rooms, meeting areas, and restaurants all across their hotels by 2022. The brand's environmental platform was once described by National Geographic as the most comprehensive environmental program in the North American hotel industry. And its latest endeavor, this is amazing. In 2019, the Fairmont Maldives, Saru Fen Fushi, unveiled a series of new sculptures within the resort's culinarium, the Maldives' first and only coral regeneration project in the form of an underwater art installation. So that is just amazing. They just keep working every year to try to add something, and I think that's just wonderful.
That's fantastic.
Next up is a line that we all know and love. Hurtigruten is launching an Earth Week sale for Alaskan cruises. So they will donate 1% of the total cost of each Alaskan cruise sold during Earth Week to the Alaska Wilderness League, which will help protect the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge located in Alaska's northeast corner. Sustainability is an integral part of their DNA, and their priority is every day of the year, not just one day of the year. The MS Ronald Amundsen a few years ago, most of their ships are operating with biofuel from organic waste and battery power, so they can confidently claim they have the greenest fleet in the industry.
It's a little bit like Back to the Future, right?
It is.
Remember
It is. How exciting.
Oh.
And we have Alaska is joining the CDC cruise lawsuit. First it was Florida, now it's Alaska. Governor Dunleavy joins his fellow Republican Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida in filing the lawsuit against the government in effort to restart cruising. Alaska claims losses of more than $3 billion. Each season, the cruise industry is shut down, and this would be the second year in a row without Alaska cruising. So in the end, it's going to come down to whether or not Florida, Alaska, U.S. ports, and the cruise industry can convince the CDC that it is indeed safe to cruise in 2021.
Interesting.
And last but not, I know, this is so exciting. I would totally do this, totally. So Uniworld next year is having a mystery river cruise in 2022. I am all about this. It's a 10-day cruise. It departs on June 12th, 2022. It's in Europe, a brand new itinerary featuring unique experiences both on and off ship. And this is a one-time itinerary. It hasn't been offered any time before. It's an incredible bucket list trip full of surprises for those that love the thrill of adventure. The biggest surprise being the itinerary reveal that will only happen when our guests are on the way to the airport. I can't believe that. So in weeks prior to departure, Uniworld guests booked on the cruise will receive various clues as well as a packing list so they can prepare. So that's a good thing. Aside from the packing list, a few additional clues may be added onto the website as it gets closer. The cruise starts at $6,999 per person, including airfare.
Do you kind of think that there's maybe a correlation between the water levels? Like, ooh, let's call this a mystery cruise when we don't know whether or not which river is going to have high water, low water. But this is a way to make it fun and interesting and not disappointing, right? Because you don't know where you're going anyway. So way to go on the creativity there, Uniworld. I love it.
Absolutely.
Well,
I love it.
Thank you so much. Enjoy Earth Day tomorrow and go enjoy a cup of tea, hot or cold.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Our next guest was such a hit a few weeks ago when he was on talking about the Super Cruise that we just had to create a segment just for him. So please welcome Kevin Kelly with his new segment, Groups, Etc. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, how's it going, Carolyn?
Good, and we should say that your segment is sponsored by Delta Vacations. Miles and savings, 2 great ways to save on your client's vacation. Be sure to visit World Agent Direct for more information. So you were such a hit a couple weeks ago that we just had to create this segment for you, Groups, Etc., which is a play on your own business name, Cruises, Etc.
Yes.
And so you were such a hit on St. Patty's Day. We know you can cook up a mean cocktail. Can you brew a pot of tea?
Oh, boy. I can brew a pot of tea. I love tea. You know, I like iced tea. I actually, I take the tea bags, I stick them in water bottles and stick them on the windowsill and make my own sun tea. That's okay. My unique twist on tea. That's how
Yep. I think that's a Southern thing. We'll have to ask Linda here. She's coming up too. She knows her Southern tea, I believe. We'll see. So today you are going to address our USP, not our UPS. We're not sending packages, our USP or our unique selling proposition. So what is this and how does it relate to selling groups, but even those of us that just do individual reservations? We all should have one, I think, right?
So I got into the business, as we talked last time. I got into the business, the travel business, because I had a group. I ended up cultivating this group and making it a larger group. But when I got into the business, everything was price driven, and I was price driven. And that's what I thought, I had to have the lowest prices. I remember I just got in the business and I went out to a cruise-a-thon out in Los Angeles. So I took a 4-hour flight out to Los Angeles. I couldn't wait. And the class was cruise deals, who has them and how do you get them? Wow, I couldn't wait to go to that class. I was on the edge of my seat. Well, I went there and she said, the instructor, she gave me the inside tips. You have to work with preferred suppliers, and when you do a lot of business with them, you'll get special group rates and special GG rates. Well, gosh, you can imagine the disappointment I got. I thought I was going to really find out something earth-shattering, but this moment was kind of like the kid in the Christmas story when he has his decoder and he's going to decode, a secret of the world, and it says, drink your Ovaltine. Well, that's kind of how I felt. So I came back, still being price driven. I had a group and it was in the business, and everything was price driven. I was trying to have the lowest price. I got into selling Las Vegas. I was price driven. And then all of a sudden I started reading some books and looking around, and it came up with the unique sales proposition. And it was more, we call it a unique sales proposition, a unique sales point, or a unique value within your product. And I learned that, geez, the light bulb went off, and that's when my business took off. I created the Super Cruise. It wasn't the lowest price cruise out there, but it was very value driven, and the value in it was tremendous. And it centered around something unique, being the Super Bowl. And so it was an affinity, I almost call it a pro-affinity group, so it was a promotional group with an affinity around it. And we created this unique Super Cruise, and it took off. And then, when you have these theme cruises and you have your unique sales proposition, you eliminate the competition. And I just think that I just want to, so many people are calling me up, and I'm here in the group department, love to have your calls, love to talk about your groups. But many times people call and say, geez, I can't figure out how to get this group going. I have the best price on this sailing. I have the best price at this resort. I have, and it's not working. Well, what makes your group unique? What makes it different? What's the secret sauce? And a lot of people at first, when they get in the business, they don't realize, let's put a little secret sauce around your group. And now it's, the secret sauce can be a milestone event, 50th birthday party. It can be, going with bringing an author on board, and, having some type of theme cruise or whatever you want to do. And sometimes, people are afraid of the complexity that are involved if you do maybe a theme cruise or some of these groups. But at first, it's complex, and as you learn to get along, you'll learn it. You'll pick up, and you'll learn it. And the complexity is great for you, because that's when the client really wants a travel agent. They want to cut through that internet clutter. They want to, the more complex it is, the better it is for you, really. And it really doesn't have to be that complex. We do the Super Bowl cruise, so it looks awfully complex because we have 1,000 people. But in reality, the cruise line does all the heavy lifting. They have all the people. When we do an all-inclusive resort, all the heavy lifting is done by the resort. We have our unique twist that we put on it, and that's really what has helped me thrive in the group business. And
your USP can be something that you individually do as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that's tagged to the cruise, right? Yeah, I sell Disney. I am my own USP because I get up at, like I did this week, 3:45 in the morning to make dining reservations and droid appointments and lightsaber building appointments for my client. That they don't want to do that. So that's my USP. That's why you want to come book with me. And that's something special that I add. I know when that goes on sale. I know how to do it. I know where it's located. I know the timing of these things. So that's my unique thing. So agents and advisors that are listening, it's not always something that's included in the package. It can be something that you do to set yourself apart, right?
Absolutely. And how about coming over here when you're with KHM? A lot of these unique offers are put together already for you. You got your agent insider for cruise and for land. You get it weekly with all kinds of insider tips. So, you're already separating yourself from the competition. Let your customers know that you have a unique sales proposition, that you are part of a 5,000 travel agent network when you're over here at KHM, and your business, you can separate yourself that way. And the other thing is, Carolyn, we both know it. Everybody wants to know the secret bullet to getting these groups are getting more customers, and we all know it. It's about creating relationships, and it's word of mouth. And by you creating that unique sales proposition that you have in your business, that they know that you're extremely organized, you go overboard, you follow up with the client. If you don't have the answer, you don't act like you have the answer. You'll go get the correct answer for them. And you're not full of baloney. You're a genuine travel agent advisor that will advise them and help them. So and I'll bet you 99% of the time your vacations that you're putting together aren't price driven, are they?
No, I try very hard not to do that. I like to listen to the client, hear what they're saying, but also explain to them why I've selected what I've selected. And that's key.
Right. And that's what I found with a lot of the new agents. They fall in the same pitfall that I fell into, right? As soon as I got in the business, I was always price driven, not realizing that it's really value driven. And when you can provide the service and you have your unique sales proposition, or promotion, or the value you add to working with you, it makes your business a lot easier, and it really grows. Because even with groups, people are, what's the secret to getting groups? A lot of the groups I get are people from a group that circle back to me with another group. Maybe they were on the Super Bowl cruise, and now they're doing a group. My wife picked up a group. I'll give you real quick. She picked up a group of gals that were on there. They wanted to do a ladies cruise. They did a 5-night. They all belonged to a golf club, and she ended up putting the group together. I mean, it was difficult because everyone wanted the biggest suite on the ship. So how would you like to have that problem? That's the problem that she had with these gals. So she got them dissatisfied, and she had connecting suites all on one level for a while. So that's how you grow your business. It's these people that circle around and come back to you because they see what you put forward the first time around.
Well, thank you, Kevin, so much for your insights. We're excited to have you back regularly with your segment groups, etc. Have a great rest of your day and go enjoy some tea.
Okay, I will. See you guys. Thank you.
All right, well, that was the perfect segue into our next segment. We've got our April family travel tip with one of my favorites. We have been celebrating family fun all month with our sponsors, Beaches Resorts. One of the ways we have done this is by sharing a family travel tip each week. So I am very excited to welcome my personal KHM regional coordinator for the Southwest region, Linda Bohr, here to share her favorite family travel tip. You have a hat too. I'm going to guess that's a derby hat as well.
It is a derby hat. I'm going next week, actually in 7 days. It doesn't exactly fit, but I'm going to make it work. But
yes.
So I saw your hat. I had to join in on the hat part.
Yes. So and in the theme of Earth Day, right? Recycling, a derby hat works as a tea hat as well.
Yes, most definitely. Yes. And a royal wedding.
And a royal wedding, exactly. I'm going to get invited to one of these days. So Linda, you have a fantastic family travel tip for us. What is it?
So my tip is travel with your kids at any age, because as the kids get older, it gets harder and harder for you to get that time with your child, and you never get that time back ever. So we had a big, great New York trip last weekend. 3 days before the trip happens, I've got everybody lined up. I've got four children from 18 to 27. I've got everybody lined up. We're doing New York. 3 days before, my son goes, "Mom, we have prom on that Saturday." So travel, take a week off of school. That's how I got into the travel agency business. I looked at my kids' calendar and I could find 2 days where they would miss, and we would take that whole week off and we would travel once a year. And this started probably back in 2005. And from that, I'm gonna piggyback on the group aspect. My kids have been able to help me create groups. So they'll come back and talk about how much fun they had on that cruise. And then the next year, another family wants to go. And then I make sure that each kid has a friend. And with that, that's already 4 kids. Every kid has a family going. And then as they grow up, now I'm doing a senior class trip. So I have a huge senior class trip. So I'm captivating on those moments that the kids have. And then they're growing up even more, and I'm doing weddings and honeymoons. So those kids, travel with them, let them post like crazy, because we know social media works, and then say, go see my mom. So travel as much as you can.
And so for those that are new agents, this is perfect, right? You've found clientele through your children and through what you love, and them sharing what you love. I love it. It's free too. It's free marketing your children, unless you're paying them. Mine would want to get paid.
They get to travel. They get to go on the cruise. Right? They get to go to the all-inclusive. Yes. Yep.
But I love that. Let them post. Let them be the social media gurus and share the love. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us. I know you have a big meeting tonight for your senior trip, so good luck with that.
Thanks. And I drink sweet cold tea. If you're gonna ask.
I figured that. Do you put the tea bags in and sit it outside like Kevin does?
I mean, you definitely can, and I've done it before, but I just make tea the old-fashioned way. When it's warm, I pour the sugar in so it crystallizes a little, and then I'll add a little more water because I don't like it super sweet. I'm more of a half-half girl, but my boys are all sweet, so got different levels of tea at my house, but it's all iced tea, not tea.
You guys would be horrified. I open up a Crystal Light packet. That's what I call tea. I know. Every time I say that to someone from the South, they just are appalled. But what can I say?
I cannot drink any kind of canned tea, processed tea. If a tea is a day old, sweet tea is a day old, I can tell you right away that tea is going in the trash.
Thank you, Linda. So great to see you.
Great to be on. Thanks again. Good luck.
All right. Oh my gosh, so many great people on today. So there isn't a day that goes by that there aren't questions about travel insurance. Now more than ever, we must be informed about what is out there. So to help us decipher some of this information is our partner, Richard Aquino, Vice President of Sales from Allianz Travel Insurance, one of our preferred partners here at KHM Travel Group. Thank you, Richard, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Are you a tea drinker? I'm going to say yes, because I know you went and got a cup before we started.
Well, I'm a big coffee drinker, and but I did go get tea specially for this, and I'm having it in my Starbucks cup. So it's just some of my identity there.
Very good, very good. So we're gonna put you a little bit to the challenge here. I was doing some research before we spoke earlier on in the week, and let's just face it, travel insurance is confusing. There are a lot of pieces, there are a lot of words. So let's start with a little vocabulary. The latest buzzwords in the policies are epidemic and pandemic. So I noticed a lot of the word epidemic being used throughout Allianz information. Why are you using that term as opposed to pandemic, which is the word I feel like we've all gotten used to?
Well, I guess pandemic comes from epidemic, and even in our certificate of insurance, we list both. So it's really, we're trying to unclutter the marketplace a little bit with so many definitions. So we cover for both, but we just thought it was easier to really communicate to our advisor partners that the one word instead of the two.
Okay. One of the things that I thought was so interesting, and I asked this of another agent the other day, and she was completely clear on the concept. So I don't know if I was just like the light bulb was a little dim or what in my head, but there was a specific section about travel advisories. And we've had a few recently with the St. Vincent volcanic eruption. And underneath the travel advisories, it says known and foreseeable. And then it's got a few listed there, St. Vincent's being one of them. I look at that and I say, how is a volcanic eruption known and foreseeable? Your answer to that is?
So think about hurricanes. Like a hurricane might be starting with like a tropical storm. So, and it's not a named storm, but the things cross over when it's named, then it becomes known and likely. So when things are about to happen, that's when a lot of times people go out for insurance and then file a claim the next day. So I always say, think of it like a car insurance. You can't have a car accident and then go out and buy car insurance. You have to buy it beforehand. So with things that happen, there comes a time when any reasonable person would know that it is bound to happen, like travel being upset by whether Mother Nature or human nature.
So is that a reason for us to buy insurance from day one, even when we've got a refundable deposit?
Yeah, so think of insurance, like let's say your insurance is $150. It's going to be $150 today or $150, a day before you buy your policy. The policy will still be the same. So why not get the most benefits out of it? So you're not losing the deposit or more monies as they're paid out. But really, think of it like my father's 94 and good health, but you want to buy something for the unforeseeable. And I have kids. I have 3 kids, and somebody could get the flu, somebody could get COVID, somebody could get stitches, or a loved one could get ill. There are so many reasons to cancel your trip where you would get your money back. Why not take the full advantage of the trip from day one? Because again, the premiums don't change, but you're getting that coverage for all that time. For if anything would happen, if you would lose your job, or somebody becomes pregnant, or some family member becomes ill, a cousin becomes ill, a caregiver becomes ill. There's so many reasons our policies allow you to cancel. Why not take advantage from the start?
Okay, so even if the deposit is refundable. So, I've got this Disney trip, it's $200 refundable, but we're not going until next December. I still want to buy that package now so that I get that coverage the whole way?
I would, for the pre-existing condition factor alone, because in today's world, everybody has something, right? And every relative has something. So you want to make sure that you cover that. So down the line, you have the pre-existing waiver, and also if you're going on a Disney cruise and there's a hurricane, you're covered.
Right. So let me ask you this. There is such a fine line when it comes to travel advisors, right? We're supposed to know this information, but we're not supposed to sell it. So where is that fine line, and how much does an advisor really need to educate themselves on to be knowledgeable, but not selling the product?
That's a really great question. And all of our field sales teams, Steve Ferrier, everyone's from the travel industry, because I look at, and myself included, I look at the travel industry being very complex. I mean, you said about like when you get up to make a reservation on a Disney ship, right? I mean, like there are so many different cabins, different ways, different dining options, different hotels that you want to stay in, with the best view or by the pool. There's so much to know about. So we look at travel insurance when you offer travel insurance, you're just positioning it to say like protect your investment, give a few highlights, like it covers for cancellation. If your flight's late beyond so many hours, you get $100 per person on the policy. So there's all the things that it covers. And what you don't want to get into is like the questions that really, I would say, make me uncomfortable when like they're talking about their Annie M having all these problems and stuff. You want to direct them to our customer service. They're there to answer the really odd, difficult, or challenging questions. You're positioning it, in my view, of just protecting your investment. If something bad happens when you're traveling, you have a helping hand. There's no out-of-pocket money for you, like if you would need stitches or you have to go to the infirmary. which by the way happened to my daughter on a Disney cruise, and it wasn't inexpensive, and I had travel insurance. So you just, you don't want to get into the details. You just want to say, this is who we use. They're the largest global assistance company in the world. It's primary medical. You can cancel for so many reasons, but if you really have what ifs, then call this number and ask them.
I think that travel insurance right now is one of the easiest things to propose to your clients, and they typically want to purchase it, but there's still so much misunderstanding on the part of the client as to what is actually covered and how it works. And no matter how many times you say, please read this, I'm not convinced they actually read it.
No, I agree.
No.
Yeah. Look, traveling, if you don't offer travel insurance in any given day and something goes wrong, it always comes back to the advisor. Like, why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you let me know? So I think offering travel insurance and even using Agent Max for the second chance sale or using the waiver it's really benefiting you, because you don't want to be able to say, I told you so, like that. But you do want to say, like, I asked for you to protect your investment. I know some things can happen. Statistically, 36%, someone has an issue while traveling. Let that be there when you need the helping hand. And people, they don't read. And I think, COVID has definitely thrown a wrench into the regular travel insurance. The good news is, we now cover for our new policies for quarantine and for denied boarding and for canceling a COVID. And I so agree with you. Like, who's not taking travel insurance nowadays? With someone, if they're not buying it through the agent, they're probably scouring the internet trying to find something off of somewhere to really protect them.
So if I was to ask you what, 3 things, and it probably there's more than 3 out there, when it comes to family travel, since that's our theme this month, what 3 things does an agent or a family want to be looking for in a policy that's going to protect them, or maybe it's even they think something's covered and then it's not, that are specific to families?
Yeah, so 3 things. Stop me at the 3 because I'll keep rambling. One is, the classic policy has kids are free. So, one person or 2 people who are traveling can take the policy, and it covers every single person. And it doesn't take the policy and divide it up. The policy has 50,000 medical for myself, my wife, and each one of our kids if we become ill. So one is, take advantage of that, because it's kids are never free. This is truly a free program. So that's what I'd say would be number 1. Number 2, just like I said with my daughter in the infirmary on the Disney cruise, things happen to families. Things happen to grandparents. Things happen to kids. Things happen all the time. So protect your family for the unknown. That's number 2. And number 3, I would say take advantage of the policy. You've got the Travel Smart app. You can file online for a claim, but best of all, if you have a family of 5 and your flight's delayed to your policy, then you're not going to get $100 for just the adults. Every member on that policy, all the kids are free. The parent, it's going to go right to their direct deposit. Family of 5 is going to get $500. So if you've been stuck in an airport where you've had to overpay for everything and you have screaming kids because you're there because of a thunderstorm or snowstorm, it's going to be nice to know you can go have that meal, enjoy a little bit of time, get that double martini for the parent, and really take advantage of the direct claim payments where we automatically just send those out to the policy holder.
Awesome. Okay. And one final question, Richard. Agents are constantly wondering, do I take third-party insurance or do I go with supplier insurance, which is, kind of easy, click that button. You guys have made a lot of enhancements to your policies over the last years. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind when you look at maybe some supplier provided insurance that says to you, okay, advisors, I know this is easy to click on, but here's why you want to select us instead?
Yeah, I think one is we believe in paying claims. I'm not saying other people don't, but there are some black and white gotchas out there. Like some policies you can't cancel within 48 hours of your trip. Statistically, that's when people cancel, whether it's a car wreck or sick child or sick person, sick grandparent. So we really alleviated the gotchas. And also, we want to pay claims as fast as possible. And at the end of the day, I think the advisor looks like the hero when somebody gets a claim payment in 5 days. I mean, that's really key. And the ease of following a claim. We really, our mantra is how fast can we pay a claim? How do we pay a claim? Not for the reasons not to pay a claim. So I think really it's also compensation if you think about it, because our plan pays double what supplier plans pay for. We're primary medical, and when you're traveling overseas, you first have to follow with Medicaid and Medicare and it's a better experience. It's more coverage, and not just with the medical. It is with the automatic flight delay or the trip interruption. So I think you don't want to be on the other end of the phone when it's like, why did you, it's taking months to get paid. Why did you sell me this? Because it's really an inferior product. The resort is great, and all the knowledge that goes into it to pick it, then pick the best choice for travel insurance.
And that is the perfect way to finish our segment. Thank you so much for your time and for the information and for being a great partner of KHM.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to see everybody out there at the next, event, conference, etc.
We're very excited. Thanks so much for being here, Richard.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So it seems like monthly we are getting emails to a new scam or a series of fraudulent emails that are going out to advisors. Here to help us with some tips and help us decipher the fraudulent clients from the positive leads is the one and only Bill Coyle, Director of Education and Programs here at KHM Travel Group. We want to thank our sponsors. FunJet Vacations is sponsoring you, Bill. Isn't that exciting?
Who else? Fantastic. Hey, Carolyn.
Thanks for being here and for taking the time to do this. We come up with these segments sometimes because we hear or see things from agents that just go, oh my gosh, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, that's true. And thanks for having me, Carolyn. First of all, I am a hot tea drinker. So in our household, we only drink hot tea. We drink iced tea, but not typically self-brewed. Debbie used to make the sun tea. I don't think we've had sun in the last year and a half, so we've been avoiding making it. No, I'm a hot tea drinker, but I think the important thing about tea, especially black tea, is the temperature of the water. People don't get that. It has to be 185 degrees. Some people are drinking it at 200, 220. That's crazy. Got to have it at 185 degrees. That's important to me. And no microwave water for my tea. That's crazy.
So in our next segment, Matt is going to talk about this. And so in preparation for the show, and he told me yesterday, this is how you do this. And what did I do? I boiled a pot of water because for the life of me, I have no idea where my tea kettle is. And I just dumped it in the teapot. I have no idea how hot it was. It just was bubbling. So I'm like, we're ready. So he's going to teach us all a little something new. But that's funny that you know that as well.
I can't wait to hear his opinion on the temperature of the water. That'll be really exciting.
He did say it. I don't know what the temperature was supposed to be, but he did give me a temperature.
A lot of people like it over 200 degrees. I don't. I need it at 185 degrees.
But you're not particular.
I'm not particular, not at all. So, and I have to go back to something Kevin said, and I promise I won't take up an hour of your time today, but what Kevin said about that USP is so significant because I remember for years I was putting together cruises, Caribbean cruises. I'd send out emails to all my clients. I'm like, no one's jumping on these. And then once I tried a Canada, New England cruise, 35 cabins. It was just this idea that people wanted something unique and different. And the fact that Debbie and I were escorting it, it was fun. It was a lot of people from church or other places. And I think that there was something more unique and different than a typical Caribbean. So where are we in our career? Where are our clientels and in their history of travel? I think we have to consider that when we're putting together groups that we want come along.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So in regards to stranger danger, and thanks for having me, Carolyn. Our compliance team is reaching out to me constantly, or any one of our teammates, saying, "Hey guys, there's agents that are getting into trouble because they're accepting a call or an email from someone booking 10 rooms in the Dominican Republic. They don't know who this person is. They're giving them credit card. They think everything is legit, and they're coming back and it's not legit, right?" So just a couple points, and thank you for putting these together, Carolyn. You thought of things that I probably didn't think of, because I'm thinking back in my career, and I remember getting those emails years and years ago, and we'd get notices from ASTA saying, "Don't respond to those emails." But our agents, they they're either new to the industry, or if they've been around for a while, they might be thinking, "Hey, this is a good thing, right? Let's take a look into this." And sometimes someone will go on Facebook and say, "What do you think about this?" And 100 people are like, "Don't open that, it's fraud." But you don't know. You're sitting there and you think, and there's such con artists out there nowadays that they could take the best of us when it comes to this. So I love the point you've given me. How does the email, how is it addressed? How does it look? Um, is it wonky? And I think that that's important. The punctuation in it is got to be critical to what we're looking at, and what we perceive as correct. And I think that's important. Is
And
it
if
in the
they
way
address
someone
you
would
as
speak?
lady or ma'am, that's not really common,
Yeah.
For people to address you that way in an email.
That's correct. I agree with you. And then I love what you said about last minute booking, right? If it's a last minute booking, we don't know this person, we don't have a relationship with them. And did we ask them how they found out about us? "Oh, I found you online." Okay, be more specific. There's got to be other logic to how they found you. And it's that there's even times now where the ID matches the signature, which doesn't match the back of the credit card. If we start to ask these questions from the beginning, if it feels wonky, they're either going to hang up or realize that we're on top of them, right? We've got their number. So I think that those types of things have got to come out. You don't want to sound too pushy, because you want to be able to trust the person you're speaking to, because if it is a legitimate booking, then they're going to feel more comfortable with you for asking all these questions, right? They're putting themselves into your hands. They know that you're concerned about compliance issues and PCI issues. I think that they're going to be even more apt to book with you if you've made sure and made yourself sound as legitimate as they should be. And of course, the idea that says they need air only somewhere, and it sounds like a wonky destination. I keep using wonky. I don't know if that's appropriate language, but it's just something unfamiliar with what we typically do, right? So it wasn't a referral from a regular client, because they would be talking about trips that you're used to booking, right? So I think that that's some of the what do we call them? The concerns that we would have when it comes to these. Does the whole thing make sense where they found you? I think that that's another key issue. Are the travelers' names different than what's on the credit card? Oh my gosh, Carolyn, that's a huge point. If that's a case, you know that there's going to be an issue. Are they using a foreign credit card? I love that you indicated how with Visas always start with 4, MasterCards always start with 5, Discover always starts with 6, American Express always starts with 3. That's something that maybe new agents don't know. I'll never forget a couple of years in, and I kept saying to Cammie, "What's this credit card number?" And she'd say, "Well, what does it start with?" I'm like, "Well, how are you going to know if I tell you?" She's, "Bill." And this has just been something for years and years and years. So it's funny and that has always stuck with me. So I think that we probably need a class on that. I think that that's probably a good idea.
And a foreign card with a U.S. address will never process. It will never process. So those are the two things. If you keep getting an error and it's a foreign card, but the address is somewhere that they've either made up, or it's a home that they have, or whatever, if it won't go through, it's never going to go through.
Makes sense. So you've just nailed it. So make sure that the merchant can accept that card is a big thing as well. When it seems strange, it is strange.
And I think that's the sad part. And I think this is certainly not to scare anyone, but really sit back and think about, if how upfront and honest are they being with you? If you can't get communication back and forth, and it's not, "Oh, well, what are you going there for? That sounds so interesting. Tell me a little bit more about your trip." If you get stonewalled, something's not right. If they won't tell you how they found you, something's not right. So sometimes, we don't want to say you can't book with strangers, because our clients are strangers at some point in our lives. But you do have to kind of just have your alerts up for, does this make sense? Especially last minute.
The last minute is a key. Yeah, we're going
Yeah.
next weekend. We need 10 rooms.
We
Yeah,
need 10 rooms, but we don't know we need a COVID test. So, these
Yep.
are the sorts of things that we just have to be aware of. And like you said, if you're presenting that to the client and it's a legit client, they should feel great about the questions that you're asking, because you're being that fantastic agent.
Yes, and if it sounds strange, it is strange. Don't hesitate to reach out to anyone in our compliance team. It's funny because we think we're foolish going on Facebook. It's still good to go on there and ask if you think that it's strange. That you're better off erring on the side of being not being
Cautious.
complacent. Yep, being cautious.
And
Absolutely.
when you put it out on Facebook, my gosh, or other travel agent channels, you alert others that
Oh,
this
that's a
is
good
coming.
point.
That this
Very
is
good
coming
point.
down the pipeline. And let's face it, guys, they're sneaky for a reason. They're getting more and more sharp. The emails used to be so blatant, and now
Yes.
they're not.
Yes.
You can't always tell. So certainly reach out, share it with others so that we can all be aware.
Yes. Agree.
So awesome. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks for
Stranger
having me,
danger.
Carolyn. All righty.
All right, stay on so we can hear more about Matt's tea.
Okie doke.
All right, you guys. Our next guest has traveled around the world looking for the new and unusual. He is here today to share his favorite destinations for tea experiences across the globe. Matt's Compass is sponsored by Celebrity Cruises, the cruise line known for the extraordinary. Matt, welcome from your kitchen in Dallas.
I'm in my kitchen, unmuting myself so you can all hear me. How's everyone doing?
We are great. Thank you so much for being here. I loved what everyone had to say about tea, hot tea, cold tea. But you have a love of tea and have had the opportunity to have some really great experiences across the globe revolving around this beverage. Let's start by sharing your 3 favorite tea destinations.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, first, my love of tea came when I was in the Peace Corps and I was living in Europe. And, of course, they're big tea drinkers. And I lived at the base of the Rhodope Mountains, and we'd go out on the weekends foraging for different things. And one of those things was different herbal tea leaves. Then we'd come back and we'd enjoy this really fresh, delicious pot of tea. And so that's when I really got into it. So when I came back home, I wanted to find a place where I could, learn more about different kinds of tea. And I found a little shop that's called Samovar. And they've got several locations now in San Francisco, and they do all kinds of different tea service, and they're all delicious. And that's where I learned a lot about loose leaf tea and really good tea. So you can do, English tea service there. They've got Russian tea service, Japanese tea service, Chinese tea service, Ayurvedic tea service, which is like Indian, I guess. And one of my favorites, Paleolithic service, because I think the paleo diet and something influence. And so what they do is you get a meal and then they pair it with a tea that matches. So like, for example, Russian tea service and English tea service are typically going to be a black tea. Japanese tea service is going to be a green tea. And Paleolithic is like a delicate green tea as well. So if you ever got clients out to San Francisco, maybe they're doing one of those cruises to Alaska and they love tea, they got to stop by Samovar.
That's awesome. And I had no idea that different countries really varied that much when it came to their tea service, but you said they do.
Yeah, some do sweet dishes, some do savory, some of it's paired with a soup, some of it's vegan. So yeah, it really does depend on the country. So the second one is that we're going to move to the east now. And if you've never been to Charleston, it's a really cute, charming town. I had the opportunity to go there about 10 years ago, and they have this, it's called the Charleston Tea Garden. And it's the oldest tea farm in the United States. But it's not really that old, actually. It opened in the late 1980s, but they were the only tea farm in the United States for almost over a decade. And now tea is kind of having this sort of renaissance. And so there's dozens of tea farms all over the place, but it all started with the Charleston Tea Garden. And so they do a nice fancy tea service, and you can go out and explore the gardens, and it's just really cool thing to do. So if you've got clients doing road trips out there or in the area, I happen to be attending a conference. And so it made a little special experience.
Very fun. And the last one,
we're going to go even further east. We're going to cross the Atlantic Ocean, and we're going to go to England. If you're sending your clients there, most likely they're going to be doing a stop in Bath. That's where the famous Roman baths are located. Most itineraries include a tour of it. But tell them to sneak away if they can, because they've got to stop by Sally Lunn's buns. Now, they do a tea service, and they serve it with these amazing brioche buns. I've never been there myself, but I have a client that goes every time, loves tea service, and this is her favorite place in the world. Sometimes they go several times a day just to get these delicious buns. And they've been serving them since the 1600s, so they've got to be good.
Well, and I'm going to throw out there that if you are ever in the Denver area, the Brown Palace, which is a historic hotel, has a fantastic English tea service. It is sold out usually from before Thanksgiving through New Year's. So, you know, if you want reservations, you have to do it at least a year in advance. But it is absolutely stunning. It's just a gorgeous setting. And of course, it's delicious as well. So let's move over to KHM at Home, where you're going to teach us how to brew a cup of tea. But before we do that, we have to put Princess Kate up on the wall here so she can join us. Can you see that? There she is. She's going to join us for our tea. Here we go. I know, you guys, I have some weird stuff in my house. Let's go ahead and tell us all about brewing that cup.
Absolutely. Well, there's all kinds of different kinds of tea, right? You've got your herbal teas, which are a whole different category, but the original tea is from a tea plant, which is green tea. And where does black tea come from? Where it's really just an aged green tea. And so it all stems from this one plant. Now, the ones that most people are used to are the ones that, you know, come in these little packets like this. This is what they call the dust. So what they do is they go and they get this tea plant and they pick all the best pieces off of it. And then when they're done, there's this little dust or, you know, remaining pieces on the counter, and they scoop that up and they put them in these bags. So this isn't considered the best quality tea. If you really want to get into a good tea, then what you want is loose leaf tea, which it kind of looks like this. I don't know if you can see that well on here, but I'll just put some little granules. But yeah, so this is your more delicate tea. It's more refined. It's like the, you know, the champagne of tea is your loose leaf tea. And there's several different ways that you can brew it. I got this cup in San Francisco, which is pretty cool because it's actually Chinatown, San Francisco. It's got this little filter thing built into it, which is nice. You can steep your tea right in that. You've got, when I was in Turkey, I had to get a little Turkish tea set. If you've ever been there, they're famous for their apple tea, and they'll serve it to you all over the place when you're there. Of course, I've got one of these. This is a Sipwell water bottle. It's double walled, so it keeps your beverages really cold or really hot. This is from Celebrity Edge, so thank you, Celebrity Edge. It's well worn, as you can tell. But one of my favorites is these little guys, because you can just put your tea in there, and it's relatively easy to clean. I've got one here. It's my Nana tea, and I've already put it in there with my favorite tea. I'm going to use my favorite vessel, which is just a simple mug. And I put it in there.
That's adorable.
One other kind of tea I want to talk about I have here is these tea balls, which, if you can see, these blossom into a flower, which is a pretty cool experience. You want to use a clear glass, obviously, for that, but you might have seen it at some fancy tea places. They'll put it in a teapot for everybody to share, and you've got this beautiful flower just sitting there in the teapot.
Virginia Ann has had that at, what's the big restaurant at the Grand Californian in Florida? She's had it there.
I don't know.
So how long do you have to let that steep for?
Well, typically 3 to 4 minutes is recommended. Now, it really depends on your taste. So once I keep the instructions, right? I'll go ahead and pour this in there, and the temperature. Let's talk about temperature, because Bill mentioned that. So it really depends. So Bill is right. If you're having a nice, delicate tea, you don't want it to be 212 degrees, which is boiling. You want it to be a little less than that. And so if you've got a good temperature gauge to use, that's great. You want it between 180 and 190 degrees for delicate teas, which are green teas in particular, but also some black teas such as Darjeeling. I'll go ahead and pour this in here. Otherwise, it's going to singe the tea leaves, and it's going to impart a bitter flavor. Now, the other thing you want to do with those delicate tea leaves is you want to do a first flush. So especially with like your green tea, which is really delicate, you want to flush it with the hot water first, really quickly dump it, and then do your second pour, let it steep for 3 to 4 minutes. but also it's according to your taste. So if you like a deep, rich flavored tea, you leave it in there a little longer. I have a friend, she gets her little tea thing and she dips it in there for about 5 seconds and takes it out because she just wants the hint of tea. So, you know, yes, do the standard instructions the first time, but you know, who cares about that? After you're done with that, throw it out and do it the way you like to do it.
So before we started the show, this is my teapot from my wedding, and I've never ever used it before.
Oh.
I threw 2 tea bags in, I boiled some water, threw it in. Let's see what happens. If it's any good. Because you know, I feel like I should put milk in it or honey or something to make it taste better. But all right, let's give it a whirl. Cheers. Oh, and look, I got my wedding cup, teacup too. Okay, that's actually not terrible. That was a green tea.
Oh.
So you guys, on KHM Today, or on the handouts here, there are 2 handouts. One for preventing fraud. So we do want to mention that. The other one is for the best tea sandwich ever. It's by Ina Garten. I have a little sample of it here today. Matt, I wish you could use it with your tea, but it's herb goat cheese and cucumbers, and it's super yummy. So we have a tea sandwich for you. That recipe can be found in the handout section or in the portal page for KHM Today as well. We want to thank you all for being here today. It's been a great show. We want to thank our sponsors. Let me just switch our slides so you guys can all see them. And don't forget about that Ryu promotion. That's a fantastic offer through May 2nd. And the shows will be hosted on YouTube starting tomorrow. You'll be able to see them if you want to go back and watch them. And next week, we finish our Family Fun Month with the Cayman Islands. So if you are unclear about the Cayman Islands and the geography and favorite hotels, we have some great information for you. We have our last family travel trip, and it is National Blueberry Pie Day as well. So sounds delicious, doesn't it? See you all next week. Thanks, Matt, for being here.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Have a great week, everyone.